Yo, what's up guys, it's NLW here, back again with another video. Today, an action figure setup, a career retrospective of Rey Mysterio. This was requested by John over on Patreon. If you would also like to request an action figure setup for me to make, head over to my Patreon, the link is in the description. Now, I have to say, growing up, Rey Mysterio, he was one of my favourite wrestlers of all time. I had the costume and everything, and a mask that didn't fit me at the time, but now it's too small for my head. I won't be showing you pictures of that, but I will be showing you pictures of Rey Mysterio poses, going through the top moments in his career, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Mysterio started off his career in Mexico, taking the name of his uncle, Rey Mysterio Sr., and American audiences first became acquainted with him when he signed with WCW in 1996, bolstering their cruiserweight division, and he debuted at the Great American Bash, having a great match against Dean Malenko. But his biggest success in WCW came when he started a feud with Eddie Guerrero over the cruiserweight title. This culminated in a match at Halloween Havoc where Rey put his mask on the line against Eddie's title. It was one of the best WCW matches in history. Luckily, Rey Mysterio pulled through, won the match and the cruiserweight title. A fantastic showing, go and watch it if you haven't already. He was starting to get a bit of a push as the Giant Killer. I think he might have pinned Bam Bam Bigelow on Nitro at one point. However, Kevin Nash stopped him in his tracks, beat him in a tag match, and it forced him to unmask. The mask, it's a tradition in Lucha Libre, and it was such a kick in the teeth for Rey to lose that mask. Arguably quite disrespectful, but he left WCW when they closed their doors, went on the indies for a little bit, eventually debuted for WWE in the summer of 2002, part of that legendary SmackDown 6, having great matches week to week against the likes of Kurt Angle. In fact, the match they had at SummerSlam, his pay-per-view debut, probably one of the best matches, under 10 minutes, fought at such a frantic pace. Kurt Angle really made Rey Mysterio look like a star. And this would lead on to the SmackDown 6 being embroiled in a feud over the brand new WWE Tag Team titles. On SmackDown, the first champions were Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. They were beaten by Rey Mysterio and Edge, a short-lived tag team, but a great tag team nonetheless. And the match these four had at No Mercy was a banger too. They did go on to lose the titles to Los Guerreros at Survivor Series. Then Rey went on to the Cruiserweight division, starting a feud with Matt Hardy, version 1, leading to a match at WrestleMania. Matt won that one, but a few weeks later, Rey won the Cruiserweight title against Matt Hardy. I believe it could have been his hometown, I'm not quite sure, but his family was there at ringside to cheer him on. Dominic came into the ring, celebrating with a brand new Cruiserweight champion Rey Mysterio, and spoiler alert, we're going to be seeing a lot of Dominic in this video. He entered into a tag team with Rob Van Dam. Even though the tag division on SmackDown was terrible at the time, they won the WWE Tag Team titles. Unfortunately for Van Dam, at the beginning of 2005, he went down with an injury, but Eddie Guerrero was there, racing to be Rey's new tag team partner, and they won the tag titles, and as tag team championship holders, they faced each other in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania 21, and after this, Eddie Guerrero grew jealous of Rey Mysterio. He then went on to betray him, turned heel, and this started the legendary rivalry that people talk about to this day, the infamous Custody of Dominic ladder match, perhaps the most bizarre stipulation in wrestling history, and there's been a bunch of them, but Rey Mysterio, he won, he got custody of Dominic. Sadly though, Eddie Guerrero passed away that November, so a lot of storylines were probably put on hold. Rey Mysterio though, he won the Royal Rumble as a tribute to Eddie Guerrero. He went on to feud with Randy Orton and won the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 22 in a triple threat match, also featuring Kurt Angle. It was a good feel-good moment even though it was short, and Rey was finally at the top of the industry. Although, unfortunately, it turned out he was going to be the most poorly booked world champion in history. He lost to the likes of Mark Henry, the Great Khali on a weekly basis. Even mid-carders like Finlay, he was losing to. You know, it didn't seem like he could catch a break at the Great American Bash, where he dropped the title when Chavo Guerrero turned heel, hitting him with a steel chair, allowing King Booker to win the championship. And now, unfortunately for him, injured, had to go away for knee surgery, and he was out for almost a year. Came back, slotted right back into the main event scene with the Great Khali and Batista, then feuded with Finlay on SmackDown for a bit, and around the time of the Royal Rumble, he entered into a feud with the then world champion Edge and Vicky Guerrero, the then SmackDown GM, and Edge's fiancée. Then they faced off again at No Way Out. Unfortunately, Rey Mysterio is injured in that matchup, so couldn't really do a lot, although it was alright, I remember. Rey unfortunately missed WrestleMania, but he would be back at the end of 2008 on the Raw brand, and he didn't really do a lot of note. He had a bit of a naff feud with Kane. He did win the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania 25 though, and then went on to SmackDown and had a much better run in 2009, where he began a feud with Y2J Chris Jericho. Jericho took the title from him at Extreme Rules, pulling his mask off. Then we had a mask versus title match at the Bash, and you probably know where this is going. Of course, Rey Mysterio had a mask on underneath his own mask, beating Jericho and winning back the Intercontinental title in one of my favourite matches from 2009. And unfortunately, again, Rey Mysterio, he's either plagued with injury or plagued with suspension. He gets suspended towards the end of the year, drops the title to John Morrison, comes back, forms a team with Batista, and then Batista turns his back on Rey. Rey can't catch a break, and then they fight at Survivor Series. The match has to be stopped, even though Batista enters into a feud with The Undertaker. Rey's still there, he's poking around. He even gets himself a world title match against The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble. He went into a feud with CM Punk and the Straight Edge Society, beat him at WrestleMania, had another match where Punk won. Then the final match at Over the Limit, it was Hair versus a pledge to the Straight Edge Society. CM Punk lost, had his head shaved. Rey Mysterio won, he was victorious in the feud, and then he went on and won the world title, although it was short-lived. Kane cashed in Money in the Bank on him, and towards the end of 2010, Del Rio debuted, so Rey was feuding with him quite a lot, and in the new year you had him facing Cody Rhodes, so it seemed that he was in a raised position now in the company where he was able to put over young talent more often, and he did move to Raw, get an opportunity to win the tournament to become the new WWE Champion, only for it to be taken away from him by John Cena. How was John Cena not a heel? He didn't even give him time to rest. It's a good thing that Rey was WWE Champion, yeah, but even if it was just for like an hour, I still wish he had a longer reign. Imagine Rey Mysterio versus John Cena at that year's SummerSlam. You could have CM Punk take more time off. Then when he comes back, it's an even bigger reaction, but I don't know. They just had to whiz through it in a matter of weeks, so what could have been? I don't know. Anyway, at the start of 2012, Rey gets injured again, comes back, has a tag team with Sin Cara, then gets injured again, returns to Survivor Series, he's injured again, and he's trying to get out of his contract. Eventually, though, he is released by WWE. And he gets into super good shape, the best shape he's been in years, and has some of the best matches he's had in his career on the indies. He wrestled for What Culture Pro Wrestling at one point, had some awesome matches with Ricochet and Will Ospreay. He also joined Lucha Underground, which at the time was my favourite wrestling program, faced Ricochet, then known as Prince Puma, in that show, and that was fantastic. He had a brief stint with New Japan, even though it was only like one match, and then wrestled at All In, teaming with Phoenix and Bandido against Kota Ibushi and the Young Bucks in a fantastic main event. And around the same time, he made a surprise return in the Royal Rumble, did a couple of dates for Saudi Arabia, but was back full-time in November of 2018, put on some classics against Andrade, and it seemed like we were building to a match against Andrade at WrestleMania. Unfortunately, this didn't happen, but it really could have been a great addition to the card. He went on to a feud with the US champion Samoa Joe. Didn't really seem like they had that many good matches, to be honest. It was all kept quite short. Later in the year, though, Rey did win the US title by beating AJ Styles in quite a feel-good moment, but I can tell you for certain Rey was not feeling good in his feud with Brock Lesnar. One of the highlights of Rey's return was his feud with the Beast Incarnate. An absolute decimation took place at Survivor Series 2019, but I absolutely love this match. It is so good. Dominic got involved here, 619, the crowd popped huge. He had Lesnar hitting suplexes left and right. I was so convinced that Rey was going to do it. He was going to beat Brock Lesnar, but no, he hit the F5 and he won the title. But it was still a great match nonetheless. And the most recent thing he's been up to was the infamous segment with Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. Now a one-eyed man, thanks to Seth Rollins getting his eye poked in the steel stairs. Poor Ray, he's had a rough year. He got thrown off a building at Money in the Bank, then lost his eye, and now has to watch his son get battered week in, week out, you know. Even though the eye for an eye stuff is quite hokey, it's still entertaining for you to watch. One thing's for sure though, whether you're basing it on his in-ring work or the stuff he did storyline-wise, Rey Mysterio, no doubt, bona fide Hall of Famer, and will go down as one of the best of all time. So that is it for this action figure setup. Thank you once again to John over on Patreon for requesting this. If you'd also like to request an action figure setup for me to make, or even your own match for me to make, head over to my Patreon. The link is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, and also comment what's your favourite Rey Mysterio moment. And if you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button as we're trying to edge closer to 30,000 subs, and make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys later.